The US Trail Running Championships are in 1 week. I've spent the last 2 months recovering from an injury, cross-training, and trying to do everything I could to prepare for this race. However, I don't know if I'm ready. So today I'm doing a time trial to see if I'm prepared to take on this race or if it's better to stay at home. I am doing a bit of a time trial effort on Lair today, which is a trail in Boulder that goes up Sanitas mountain, or I don't know if it's considered a mountain, but it goes up Sanitas. This is just kind of a tester to see where I'm at before I go to the US Championships next weekend in Sunapee. Just making sure that I'm like ready for that before I just full commit to it. A bit nervous, don't really know, haven't been on a trail yet this year, so we'll see.
This year?
Actually, I do think I was on a trail this year. It was just in February and it was twice. So, third time on a trail this year. We'll see, we'll see what happens. And then Lauren and Spencer are here, moral support right now.
I'm not here to support anybody. I'm here to go for a run. No, I am here to support Allie.
You tried to be cool and then you
duck out it.
I say. And jump off the plane.
I'm gonna run this trail for my warm-up. Yeah.
So we're just gonna dip out right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I just wanted the company.
All right.
I wanna hang out.
She's about to start her warm-up, and then we are gonna go for a run.
How did the warm-up go?
It was good. It was on a single track trail, so definitely like slower than normal warm-up, but I think it's good to get into trail mode. I mean, this morning, did my normal routine, oatmeal, bicarb, coffee, all of that. But I did get a bloody nose this morning, so just, a quick sandbag for that. I lost some blood volume, so, if I'm feeling faint, lightheaded, you know why. It's not the exertion, it's the bloody nose that came before.
I think you lost at least a gallon.
I mean, could have been 2 easily.
Yeah.
You saw the way it was gushing out. Gushing.
How is like a race effort on a trail different from track or road stuff?
I feel like a trail effort is a lot less steady because there's going to be like variations in terrain, obviously. Steeper ups, maybe a flat, maybe a little down section, even during an uphill. It's a little bit more like doing a fartlek than just doing a straight effort.
How do you decide like when to push or like hold back?
I think a lot of it, when I'm by myself, is based off of heart rate and just perceived effort, because it's not based off of pace at all. Like, you could be going slower but have a higher power output because you're on a steeper hill. And like today, I'm probably gonna wanna start like in the 170s, and then when I know I'm like closer to the end, I can push into the 180s, but I don't wanna start out with my heart rate in the 180s because whenever I've done that historically, it leads to a very quick crash and burn.
Yeah. Vapors on?
Yeah. I actually currently don't own a pair of trail shoes. I need to get some before next weekend. My advice would be to maybe get trail shoes further than a week out from USA's.
Yeah.
For anyone out there taking my advice. But it's a situation we're in that these are the best trail shoes I have.
How different can the trails be from the roads?
Yeah,
Not
like
much.
honestly, like barely different at all. Okay. I really don't like wearing this thing, but for filming on the trails, I feel like, there aren't a lot of options. So we gotta do it for the content today. I'm definitely nervous right now for this, but I'm also kind of excited. Haven't done anything like this in a while, so I think it should be kind of fun. Hello.
Good luck.
So Lion's Lair is a really popular trail in Boulder for pro trail runners, and that's part of the reason that David and I chose this route, because he has so many previous data points of athletes running this trail that we can compare my time to and try to make a decision about where my fitness is at and if I'm ready to take on the level of competition that will be at USA's. However, I did not look at any of those times prior to running this, so I was just going out here and trying to run off of feel and effort. Like I said right after my warm-up, I wanted to try to have my heart rate in the mid 170s for most of the lower portion of this route and then allow it to drift up into the low to mid 180s during the upper portion. At this point, I was about a mile in and I was glancing down at my watch every once in a while to make sure that I was still staying in that correct effort range. And every time I looked down, my heart rate was around 176 to 178, which was definitely more upper 170s, but that was fine because this was written in as a hard effort. And so if I did happen to push a little bit too hard early, that was okay. I was just hoping to rein that effort in enough that I would be able to finish stronger in the latter half of this effort instead of burning it all in the start. This effort was feeling really good. Like, usually when I'm on the trails, I start to get into a little bit of a negative mind space when the climbs get really, really hard. It's definitely something that I struggle with, trying to stay positive when everything just hurts. But this was the first time I'd ever been on trails and actually felt like strong enough to push through when it got hard and strong enough to be able to push through that hardness and get to the top of the climb. And that was an amazing feeling. However, I don't want to make it seem like I wasn't trying hard, because after I finished this, I did tell David, oh my gosh, like definitely not all out, just a strong threshold effort. But now looking back through and hearing the audio on this, I think I was going a little bit harder than I was making it out to be. So I was definitely hurting, but it was okay because we were getting close to the summit. I had thought that this climb was going to be 3 miles, but it was actually only about 2.5, and I started sensing that I was close to the summit. So even though I was definitely already doing a hard effort, I tried to push it a little bit more just for that final push towards the end of the climb. So after looking around a little bit and confirming that that was in fact the top of Lion's Lair, I headed straight back down. And the goal today was to really get a good trail burn on the legs. So I wanted to go straight from a hard up into a steady and free-flowing downhill. And honestly, this downhill was so much fun. I always love the downhill, but this one especially is quite flowy and not very technical. And you know that it's not that technical because I was able to do it in Vaporflies. I was having such a good time on this, and it honestly made me start reflecting of like, why don't I just like focus on becoming a good downhill runner, because this really is where it's at. And being a good downhill runner or uphill runner is all fine and dandy, but none of that's really possible unless you are properly hydrated. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Element. Before I headed out for this workout, I made sure to mix up my Element electrolytes because we are in the midst of hot summer days and I need to be sure to stay on top of my hydration. And you may notice that it's a new flavor I'm mixing up because Element just released lemonade salt, which is my new favorite flavor. It is so delicious and just the most refreshing beverage for a hot summer day.
Lemonade salt, new favorite flavor.
And like all of the other Element flavors, it has a scientifically based formulation of electrolytes with 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. I have been bringing this with me everywhere I go because I always want to have Element at the ready. Right now, Element is offering a free sample pack with any order to my subscribers, so just go to drinkelement.com/Allie or check it out at the link in my description. And as always, stay salty, my friends.
Good job, Allie. Finish strong.
It was really fun. I had a great time. I don't know if like my time was good because I've never done this before as a workout.
How did it feel?
I think it was decent. Like it felt pretty good. I felt like fairly strong on the uphill and the downhill was really fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I enjoyed myself, but just gonna have to get David's take on whether or not that was a good performance or not. I really have no idea. Now I have 6 by 1 minute hills just to practice getting some good uphill output on like downhill thrashed legs.
Oh, well done.
Thank you. Thanks for filming. For everyone wondering why the camera quality is so good today, Johnny on camera duty.
Beautiful day too, that helps.
Where can they follow you? What can they do to support you, Johnny?
You know, tap in Pace Photo. I'm tapping Flow Track, you know, we're holding it down at Flow Track, so long things running. Check it out.
Workout was good, at least from the way it felt perspective. I felt pretty strong, pretty smooth on both the up and down. Like that's probably the most fun I've ever had during a trail workout. So I don't know if that's just because I was like going slower, so it felt nicer, or if like that actually was a good workout. I'm gonna have to call David later and see what his take is on like the time I ran up it, but overall felt great and enjoyed myself.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, Allie.
Hi, David. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good, especially after I saw your tempo on Lion's Lair. You absolutely crushed it.
I will say I went back and I watched the video of it and I was breathing so hard during it. I think I may have underestimated how hard I tried.
Okay, it's the grade, like the 8% constant grade, where your body's able to maximize output, which means that aerobically, it's like the hardest thing. Megan and I have a joke that there's no such thing as an easy Lion's Lair.
Yeah.
Thus, I think it's super special that you ran the third fastest time ever. We rarely use training as a test. This one was a test. You passed the test. You aced the test.
That was such a relief because I really had no idea how I had done.
I'm ready to bet on, going to Sunapee, seeing what's possible, at the national championship.
Yeah. So, you think I'm good to go then?
I think this is one of those ultimate shoot moments, and you don't really get that many shots at this throughout the year, and so you're gonna have tons of really great races this year, no matter what. But I think you're just way farther ahead of the game than we hope. So let's go there. Let's see what's possible.
Compared to last year, when I moved to Boulder, I did like a tempo up Chapman and then another one up Ranger. Those were 20-minute tempos. Would you say that this one was better than the ones I did last year?
This one was an absolute breakthrough compared to last year. What this shows me more than anything is not necessarily that this race this weekend is going to be the race of your life. I mean, I think that's unrealistic, right? Like, What it does show, though, is now imagine where the potential lies this year. If this is basically the starting point, if you're already third best on something like Lion's Lair, where the does it go from here? It's so exciting.